My fellow students, welcome to today's tutorial video whereby we are going to focus on the specific account number 2, and this specific account number 2, good people, we are going to describe the synchronous and asynchronous data communication. And then we have only two assessment criteria. We have the first assessment criteria whereby is the descriptions outline the characteristics of each form of data communication, and the second assessment criteria will be the description explains the features of data communication equipment with respect to asynchronous and synchronous data communication. So let us go without any wasting any time. Characteristics data communication forms. They say the first bullet, all IBM PCs and compatible computers are typically equipped with two serial ports and one parallel port. Although these types of ports are used to communicating with external devices, they work in different ways. Now, they do explain the parallel port means, but they say a parallel port sends and receives data 8 bits at a time over 8 separate wires. This allows data to be transferred very quickly. However, the cable required is more bulky because of the what number of individual wires it must contain. Okay, as we all know that we have the older PCs, the IBM computers or PCs that were created before then by the man called Charles Babbage. And those IBM stand for International Business Machines, good people. And they were created after the first computer called mainframe. So, as we all know that on our tower cases or at the back of our cases, um, we have ports there. Ne? So we have the first port that have sockets. That have socket. Those are the two serial ports, the male one and the female one. Whereby the female one will be we have do have the sockets or holes, and the male one have pins. So we know that why they differentiate them as male and female ports because of the other one do have pins and the other one do have holes. So and one parallel port. The one parallel port is used for um, printers. And yes, printers, devices, good people. Ne? They use the parallel one where it's a large port. It's similar with the female serial port for transmitting or the display to your external monitor, or if you want to use what you call projectors, you make use of the serial port to project to a large screen. Are we together? So nowadays we are no longer using the serial ports because of the newer computers came with different types of ports. We have the new ports that we call HDMI port that transmit both display as and sound. Good people, because of it supported digital and analog. But the VGA cable that support only the support only the one not digital but analog ones because of it only transmit what they're displaying without sound. So you will go through this, but there are two basic types of serial communication: synchronous and asynchronous. With synchronous communication, the two devices initially would synchronize themselves to each other and then continually send characters to stay in sync, even when data is not what really being sent. A constant flow of bits allows each device to know where the other is at any what given time. That transfer rates than asynchronous methods, good people. So we have two different things. We have asynchronous and synchronous communications. We'll talk about synchronous and asynchronous communication and then on our next slides. Now, go through this a little bit information and read through there so that you can understand the difference between synchronous and asynchronous communication. Now, let us go to the next slide, features of data communication equipment. Most communication circuits performs functions described in the what's physical and data link layer of the OSI model. Now, since they do talk about the OSI model, they are on our previous specific outcome. I think we spoke about those OSI model transmission, whereby we have the OSI opens. It's an open system interconnection model that was developed by the International Standards Organization to establish rules. Those rules, in internet or networking, because of we do have different types of rules that you have to transmit the information with. So but there are two general strategies for communicating over a physical link: asynchronous and synchronous. And then each has advantages and disadvantages as well. Now, let us go and look at the asynchronous communication. Sending data encoded into your signal requires that the sender and the receiver are both using the same decoding method and know where to look in the signal to find data. So go through this synchronous information and then understand a little bit of it. Now, they say on the examples of asynchronous communication, Barry, it used on RS 232 based serial devices such as on an IBM compatible computers COM1234 port. Asynchronous transfer mode ATM also uses this means of communication. Your PS2 port on your computer also use this method. The PS2 port are the port of your keyboard and mouse. Good people, the older computers use the PS2 ports, which is the keyboard and your mouse. This is the method. This method is also used to communicate within external modems. Asynchronous communication is also used for things like your computer keyboard and mouse. Like I said, your computer and mouse. They say you must think of asynchronous as a faster means of connecting, but less reliable. So let us look at the synchronous, good people. We'll just go through it in a larger scale on our next slide. Now, they say synchronous system negotiate the connection at the data link level before communicating begins. Basic synchronous system will synchronize to clock before transmission and reset their numeric counters for errors and etc. For advanced system may negotiate things like error connection and compression. Okay, now let us look at the examples or the differences between synchronous and asynchronous communication on a larger scale. They say synchronous communication in real time, which simply means you are going to communicate face-to-face conversations, phone calls or video calls, like meeting, virtual chat messaging, real time, good people name. Now, on the other hand, asynchronous communication, whereby we are using the emails to communicate, message boards, dashboards, chat messaging, non-real time. What is this? This is happiness like this, like in asynchronous, which simply means The recipient can respond to the communication at their own pace, at their own time as well. Are we together? Like you can communicate through emails, but in terms of responding to your email, I can respond it later on or maybe the day after, like not something like real time, which is asynchronous. They require the recipients must immediately respond to that particular conversation we are having because of we'll be meeting like face to face or communicating. So this is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous communication, good people. And thoroughly you can go to the internet and do your research on about synchronous and asynchronous communication or data communication, whereby data can be transferred from one computer to another computer at the same time. Are we together? So you can read through and have a better understanding about the difference between the two communication that we spoke about. Now let us go to the last slide, whereby is a glossary. The glossary hard coded a value that cannot be overwritten. Log on the process of gaining access to a network through validation of the user and password. Network operating system software that enables PC acts as a what as a network server. Good people, we do know the difference between peer to peer and the other one. They say the domain. Okay, on a peer to peer, which simply means each and every computer in a network do have its own what. Again, username as well as the password. That simply means if your computer using there or support the peer-to-peer network, that simply means, good people, you are able to do print out. You are able to receive or to send to share resources with any other again users at your own time, in a different way. But if your PC do support the other one, client server network, which simply means we have the server, like I explained on our last or the first specific outcome number one, that some PCs like the Macintosh Book Air computers, they do support the one other one, which is a client server. It just simply means I cannot be able to share any resources with other PCs on a network, which simply means my computer cannot share any resources with others. So Windows for work group, Windows support only work group, good people. One thing that we have to know, it is a family, a Windows family support their work groups. So the Macintosh, another operating system, Macintosh support they do not support the work group, but rather client server network, whereby by family or products or Microsoft products which provided a graphical user interface CGUI. Now for the DOS operating system. Now the graphical user interface just simply means is the new Windows, whereby we do have your computers will have the icons, as well as that you have the icons and also the name of that particular icon area. So good people, I will launch our next quiz about the synchronous and asynchronous communication through networking. I think you'll find this in order by saying that, good people, make use of the external revision, make use of the internet as well, research more thoroughly about whatever we spoke about, because most of the things I cannot touch them. Hence, I see the video that I'd like to do it to be more constant way. So try by all means find information. If you do have any query, uh, feel free to ask at any time. Thank you.